Kenya Smith here. You're watching My Works His Glory, where we give you encouragement for your everyday life. I'm so happy to be with you yet again on another week. You are going to want to subscribe and you're going to want to share this video. Our encouragement for today is be encouraged. Your obedience is key. So, yes, we're going to talk about obedience today. Don't worry, you will be encouraged at the end of this. So we're going to have a scripture from the Old Testament, we're going to have a scripture from the New Testament, and then we're going to bring it all together in a nice, pretty bow, right? So the one thing that I thought about or example of obedience is the flip side. I thought of an example of disobedience, and I'm thinking about King Saul from the Old Testament. Poor King Saul. I mean, he really thought he was doing something. He was doing nothing. So, for those of you who are familiar with the story, King Saul, he was given a directive by the Lord through Samuel the prophet. And Saul was told to destroy the Amalekites, destroy everything, families, everybody, sheep, livestock, kings, everybody, destroy them all. So what does Saul go out? He goes, he fights, he wins, but he leaves the cattle and he leaves the king alive and brings them back. So now he's coming to Samuel, and Samuel's like, what's going on here? And Saul is like, what? I did what the Lord said, you know what I mean? So Samuel had to challenge him, no, because you were supposed to destroy everything, and yet the king is alive, and I hear the sheep in my ear. So Saul wants to try to contend that he obeyed the commandment of the Lord. Then he finally resigns by saying, okay, look. I decided to leave the sheep alive so that we could sacrifice to the Lord. And so Samuel had to make it very clear. So clear that I want to make sure I read the scripture to you so you get this, right? So this is First Samuel, it's 15 and verse 22. And Samuel says, has the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than to sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. Okay, so what does that mean? Clearly, God is letting you know, not only in this scripture, but throughout the entire Bible, that He is interested in being obeyed. Again, your obedience is key. What is it key to? It's key to blessing. It's key to prosperity. It's key to favor. It's just key to just the abundance of God when you obey. I'm going to be real. God is not impressed with how much word you read. He's not impressed with how much word you can study. He's not impressed with how much word you hear. God is impressed with how much word you obey. So, what does that mean? When you're hearing that word, you're doing it. In James, it says that we are to be hearers and doers of the word. He says, don't be a hearer only, because then you end up deceiving yourselves. So, you got to hear the word and you got to do it, right? How do you obey something? By doing whatever you've been told. So, I want you to understand that your obedience is key. And I'm going to give you a testimony of how I know this to be true. So back in 2007, so we talking a long time, right? I want y'all to get this. Back in 2007, I was in my closet and I was kind of, I had about 8 pairs of shoes, was doing a little bit of season changeover cleaning. And I heard the Lord say to me, give away your shoes. And so I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. You know, I was looking at a couple of pair that I didn't like. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll give those away. You know what I mean? I usually give to a donation, to a charity. So it's like, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll give those two away. So I went to grab them, and the Lord said, no, all of them. And I remember thinking, like, oh, you have got to be kidding me. What am I going to have? And I was arguing with the Lord. Yup, I was, guys. I was like, oh, no, no, not doing it. What am I going to have? What about me? And I just remember this feeling of what about me? But then I was early with the Lord, but I knew He was gracious. And I just said, fine, fine, I'll do it. And guys, I took every pair of shoes that I had, except for the flip flops that were on my feet. And I said to the Lord, well, fall is coming up, Lord, and I'm going to need shoes. And I gave them all away. So the charitable donation, they came by that week. I gave away every pair of shoes except for the ones I had on my feet. Do you know within 3 weeks, people began to call me and ask me what size shoes did I wear? I didn't tell anybody what happened. but people still called me. And I started to get call after call, shoes after shoes. One time I got given to me 20 pairs of shoes at one time. And they just continued to come in. 13 pairs of shoes at one time, 9 pairs of shoes at one time. I've gotten shoes so much, continuing up until probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. I have gotten shoes so much that I have not had to buy my own pair of shoes since 2007. I am not lying to you. And I want to say, in getting ready for this video, I think I counted maybe 43 pairs of shoes in my closet now. Those are the ones that I keep, but I've given away so many. I probably have gotten at least 500 to 550 pairs of shoes given to me since I obeyed. And guess what, guys? All these shoes are name brand. I didn't have name brand before. The shoes I gave away, they was okay, you know what I mean? But the shoes that I got now, I'm talking Michael Kors. I've gotten Christian Louboutins. I've got Nine West. I've got all kinds of shoes. Steve Madden. I mean, I've got boots. I've got sandals. I've got heels. I've got wedges. I have so many shoes. And guys, I want you to understand. It's not about the material thing. It's about obeying God. And when I heard what he said, and when I did what he said, I'm still living in the overflow of blessing from that obedience. So that's my time for today, but I want you to know that your obedience is key. So whatever God has told you to do that you know he told you to do and you wasn't too sure about doing it, go, obey, and open the door to blessing in your life. If you haven't been hearing God lately, he's talking, but it might be a little fizzle between the connection. Go back to the last thing that he told you to do and do that. Obey that. It's going to take faith, but guess what? It's faith that pleases him. And without faith, it's impossible to please him. So I hope you're encouraged for today. I hope that this has made some sense to you wherever you are in your walk with God. But be encouraged. Your obedience is key. I will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay with me on this journey. God bless you.